Okay, so this is our first podcast of The Sleeping Man, and kind of the Sleeping Man. And I'm here with Jude who rides shotgun on these things. And we need definitely to ride shotgun on this. The Sleeping Man itself is a 15 to 20 minutes worth of podcast that are things we think you need to know. We're connecting the dots. We're going to train people to understand critical thinking.
And to wake up.
Yeah, wake up. The shit's all around you. So wake up. It's all here. So we're trying to figure out where we would start it. And we started talking and we said, you know where we should start it? When you look at the turmoils of the world today, it all kind of comes back to one place. And unfortunately, sad to say, it all comes back here in the U.S., which is just disgusting. But what, as we were kind of putting the pieces together on the subject matter we talk about, we thought we should start with the person who really started this whole revolution. There's an underground revolution or a sub revolution that's occurring. And it's really what started people like us doing podcasts, Joe Rogan, was because no one believed they were getting the real news. So, and for us, it was, hey, there's all this shit out here that nobody's really talking about. Well, there's plenty of people talking about it, but let's go do something that makes a difference rather than sit here and bitch about the world. So so we said, let's start a podcast, and collectively what we know and the people we know, which we know quite a few, a lot of experiences with the subject matter we're going to talk about, especially when you're doing blockchain technology, which was what I was doing. It interests these types of people.
Of course.
But Julian Assange is who we're talking about, Julian Paul Assange, and he was a Australian editor, publisher, and he was an activist, and he founded a organization. It is an organization, not for profit, called WikiLeaks. What is WikiLeaks?
It's like an informational dump center.
It's the toilet bowl of the world. Right. That's what it is.
Where secret, quote unquote, documents are dropped.
Yes.
For the public viewing.
Yep. And so what ends up happening is there are folks around the world who, I guess, are different kinds of activists today. They're digital activists and hackers who can get into anything. I've dealt with them. We dealt with them on networks. You've got guys who can get into their Houdinis.
So do you think he had a team of people out there?
I don't think he was
digging.
I don't think he needed to.
And he was just the moderator.
Yeah,
of the information.
I think people believed in his cause.
Right.
And that's all he had to do.
And then it came flooding.
Yeah, and people are like, okay, now we got a place.
The sources, and then he became persecuted like a messiah figure.
Right.
Messiah of the truth.
Well, and the reason why are we talking about him today is because we've got, he's going to be extradited in the next 2 weeks. That decision's going to be made.
Can you believe it? I'm kind of concerned. What's going to happen?
Well, who's going to protect who?
Right.
They'll Epstein him. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's the whole thing. So his family's been on TV.
Or he's going to be MK'd ultra'd, like you said.
Yeah. He's probably being
psyops.
He's probably being raped by aliens down there underneath that subterranean.
That's either the greatest thing or worst thing that ever happened.
I don't know. But we know some shit. Yeah. And so we know that he has really pissed off some powerful people. And a lot of, which we'll get into, not in this particular podcast, but a lot of what has happened in the digital world, this revolution that's occurring where information access. So you got the government who has they don't have really the smartest people in the world working on their IT systems. I hate to tell you.
You think?
IRS, you name it. I always get a kick out of voting machines because everybody's like, oh no, we have the safest voting thing in the world. How can you even talk that way about it? And you got these people breaking into they're hacking into the Pentagon,
right?
And this little shitty voting machine that any 12-year-old with an aptitude for technology could get into and change all the shit in there. I just am like, this is it. Wake up, people. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Wake
up. when you hear we have the most secure system in the world, well, that's what they want us to believe. And I guess that's kind of what we're trying to point out. And we'll start with Julian Assange. So within the next couple of weeks, we're going to find out if he's going to get extradited here. What's more interesting is Edward Snowden, kind of his partner in crime. They don't know one another, but we'll talk about Snowden too at some point. Snowden put out a he had attached it. It wasn't any news. Yahoo News did a gigantic report on Assange and just what was going on. And what was fascinating about it was, what was the most fascinating thing that you got out of it?
Vaults.
Vault 7. And Vault 7 is so fascinating. Well, there's way more to it than Vault 7 because everything that has been a conspiracy, except for UFOs, there was no mention of that. But everything else was in those documents. From the Vault 7 was a big dump in a big dump. I mean, just shit on how the CIA surveils Americans, how they get into our cell phones, how they get into your toaster oven. I mean, every imaginable thing in the world they're able to get into, and they've got a hacking protocol that's able to do that. So in essence, what really happened was the hacking community said, oh, yeah, you think you can do that? Well, watch what we're going to do.
Right.
So they hacked quite a few people. One of them was the Democratic National Committee's emails, which got...
I remember that.
Yeah, which got Hillary Clinton and all of her emails on that backroom server in the bathroom or wherever the hell she had it. And the Podestas, lots of questions on those fucking emails.
Yeah.
No news organization has looked into those.
No, not really.
No.
They just mentioned Hillary Clinton's email.
Right. And that's about it. And then they led us astray with the server in the bathroom.
Right.
Because I guess we're supposed to visualize Bill Clinton sitting down on the toilet reading a newspaper while the server is clicking away in the back. I have no idea. But, well, we do have an idea.
Well, didn't they say it was an unsecure, right? It was like a private server.
Right. She had a private server in email. But they got everything when they did the dump. So, but the real thing is the CIA has got themselves in an uproar over this guy and have for the last few years. And there have been reports out that they were trying to kidnap him and kill him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? They would never do that.
Right.
They would never kill anybody. That's not our CIA.
Now, who leaked that information about the CIA?
I don't know, because it really gets into the Trump organization and how higher ups inside the organization were trying to figure out how to deal with this guy. Right. And Mike Pompeo was one of the... they referred to it. He refuses to make a comment on this. They all refuse. Oh, well, that's an ongoing investigation. We're not going to talk about that. Wow, I wish I could do that about every question I get asked. And what's so interesting is when you look at the CIA, they've had no oversight. I don't remember the last time we saw someone with any type of oversight on the CIA that has been questioned by Congress.
Yeah.
And I still go back to Chuck Schumer's. I've said it in another podcast. Where he said they've got 6 ways to screw you over because Trump was pissing off those organizations. And quite honestly, like them, not like them, I think he pulled back the curtain on all of these guys, FBI, CIA.
Sure. He stirred the pot.
Yeah, he's the wizard, and he showed everybody, here's the Wizard of Oz.
Right.
There's a lot of bad things with the CIA.
You think?
They are always involved in overthrowing governments and elections, and very similar to what's been going on here. Although I don't think that they would ever get involved in.
Oh, they're constantly meddling in international elections.
Yeah, that is an absolute.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the Bay of Pigs, that failure was in part, or all in part, of them trying to destroy John Kennedy, which didn't succeed. Well, they succeeded in failing. We didn't get in and intervene in Cuba,
right?
But ultimately, that's what that was all about. And that probably was the FBI because they hated the Kennedys and the CIA. Everybody hated the Kennedys. Yeah, you find this out now, right? When everybody runs to their tribes. We've got Republicans and Democrats, and he's a Democrat, I hate him. And what do you find out? They're all the same. It's like championship wrestling.
Right?
They're all kind of in it. It's all fake. It's all bullshit.
I said that the other day. What happened to the rational wackos in the middle?
Yeah, I don't know where they are.
Right.
I guess that would be us, because I guess what I've learned, and we've talked about this, is, you got to get out of your tribe
Right.
in order to get an objective view of this. You got people who just will refuse on both sides to hear this is what happened.
Oh, I agree. I say that all the time. Truth lives in all different reference points. There's truth in science and math and religion and politics. But if you just look at it from one reference point, you're not going to get the whole truth.
Yeah, and I think what we've had these guys that have gone in and pulled back the curtain, Julian Assange being one of them. And now he's in a really, last time I saw him, he looked like a very gaunt version of Santa Claus.
Yeah, he aged like 30 years in 10 years, right?
Right.
I mean, you could tell he's under a lot of duress.
Yeah, and it's...
and he may come out babbling, but if they extradite him and he's held somewhere secretly for a year, he may emerge half alien.
Right. And or with an alien girlfriend or boyfriend. Right?
Yeah.
Not that does not matter. We're
Right.
not trying to, using proper pronouns. But the other thing, too, was in November of 2010, they tried to nail him on a rape charge. And they were trying to do an extradition out of Sweden. I can't remember how that whole thing went. But, I mean, this guy has been through it. And then eventually got caught up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. That's where he was.
And that's where he is now?
No, because they dragged him out of there.
Oh, okay. Where are they?
Did you ever see that video?
No.
Oh my God. Well,
or maybe I did. It was a few years ago, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it was it was about 4 or 5 years ago.
I
but
follow Snowden a lot. I haven't really kept up with Assange.
Yeah, Snowden.
But he had the big Santa Claus beard, right?
Yeah, when they
I do
dragged him
remember
out of
that.
there.
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson used to go and visit him.
Did you really?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, my friend was next door neighbors to her, by the way.
Oh, right, David, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Julian was visiting at the time, but yeah. So,
but he did look like shit. He looked like he was going through a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. Imagine having the CIA after you.
Where Snowden's looked the same for 20 years.
Well, he
Pretty
left
much.
and went to Russia.
He just
so.
lives in a cave in Russia.
Yeah,
somewhere.
who knows? And he's broadcasting from some unknown location.
I mean, he's pretty. I mean, that's ballsy.
Yeah, it sure is. You are not kidding. So at the end of the day, right now the UK court systems, they have to consider all the information and decide. So how's that go? We know the US is going to lean on the US or the UK court system. They're going to say, extradite this guy, and we're going to have to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. I think that the bigger concern for everyone, and his family has been on TV, is are they going to kill him? Oh my God, that would never happen. I just go back to Epstein and say,
they'll either make an example of him
in a prison
by some crazy, trial, or he'll end up dead.
Or he'll end up dead, or suicide.
Breakdown.
He'll commit suicide. And the whole thing we should watch it. I'm just going to mention it because it's relevant to all this.
Yeah.
Is R. Kelly. R. Kelly is going to give everybody up that was a pedophile that was in his trafficking group.
Oh, you think he was tied all the way up?
Oh yeah. So he's. We'll have to see what happens.
He just got prosecuted. I did actually watch that.
Yeah, he's in jail waiting sentencing, I believe. So, but yeah, so that's going to be an interesting to watch. You got to watch all these guys. But here's the deal. Here's what we're going to try and do over the course of the next 4 or 5 episodes. We're going to try and connect the dots with the CIA and what it is that they're involved in, what they do, and what they've done to the U.S. population. They've been involved in Hollywood. They've been involved in the MK Ultra, which to me was one of the most vicious things, where they would get young kids. This is true, documented. Look it up. MK Ultra, where they were using, again, in the beginning, they were using LSD, all of these psychedelics.
They say Charles Manson was a product of that.
They say Charles Manson. Yeah, well, they've also connected that to Son of Sam. The whole Son of Sam thing is another thing where they know that he was not the sole killer. There was 6 other people that killed. He was responsible for one. That's a whole other podcast. Yeah. But that's a real thing. There's an investigative report.
How come each conversation we have, 5 more podcasts pop up?
That's just because there's so much shit floating around in the toilet of the United States of America. So we start with the reason we start here with Julian Assange is when you look at the information that he's released, there's fingerprints from the most powerful people in the world all over it.
Yeah.
And then you begin to realize that conspiracy, I don't think so. And we refuse to look at those objectively. And that is part of the problem. So what we're going to do in the Sleeping Man podcast, this is an introduction. We're going to talk about Assange, his plight, what they're going to try and do to him. And we're going to stay on top of that. Because what we'll do in the next podcast is we'll go through the psyops and the things that has been done by the CIA. And we'll start to understand why this is all connected to Julian Assange.
And we're going to do it in real time.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. As long as nobody, long as there's no drones.
Nothing
and they
comes flying through the window.
Yeah, they mistake us for,
two schlumps.
ISIS K or whatever, Special K or whatever you want to refer to it as. So with that said, we'll be broadcasting these once a week, and we'll see you on the other side.
YagiBox.com